To introduce our speaker. Eric Bam is the author of Amazon bestseller, Dreaming Again, A Roadmap Back to You, and 52 Ways to Show Your Wife You Love Her. So I guess my wife's going to be excited today.
She already bought a copy, so.
Need to buy a copy. He's proudly married to Megan and a devoted father of Nicholas, Alana, and Ruby. As the Vice President of Sales and Marketing at Perfect Crust Pizza Liners, Eric has demonstrated his commitment to excellence, and he has actively contributed to his community, serving in roles such as youth services and Creek County board member and Liberty School PTA president. So he thrives on helping others find their goals and achieving them. So let's give a warm welcome to Eric Bam.
I'm just going to take that and be down here. Thank you. I'm a walker and a talker, so for me to just stand up there is not going to happen. Thank you, Mike, for coming. He does put cheese on bread, and I love him. I've known him for 20 years and count him as one of my best friends and a mentor to me. And I'm probably a little bit of a mentor to you, right? A little bit. One of the things he can probably relate to right now is, as a guest speaker, up until probably 4 days ago, I knew exactly what I was going to say, and I had slides, and it was going to be incredible. But I'm very big on listening to my intuition and listening to what goes on in my heart and my mind, because I think that's God. I think that's God talking to you. So it's a muscle that you can work out and get better at, and listening to your intuition and what is it saying to you. So up until about 3 days ago, I knew exactly what I was going to say, right? And Angie sent me an email yesterday. She said, "Do you need AV?" And I wrote, "No," because what I was going to kind of lead with and talk about, not going to talk about at all. Because there were two things that came to me in the last couple of days. One, from a business standpoint, and not even about the book that I wrote, but I felt like maybe it was important for someone that needed to maybe hear this. And there are 5 things for me that I'm focused on in 2025 from a business standpoint. And the first one, I'm carrying this around because I wrote them just in case I can't remember them all in order, but there are 5. One is like number 1 by far. But I'll read through the other 4. The first one is to really wrap my mind more around AI and ChatGPT. And there are some people in here that are like, "Get off my lawn. I don't believe in that crap, and I'm old and I don't care," right? He's laughing. It's probably him, and he's young. But we think that, right? Like, this isn't going to affect me. AI has probably already affected you. You just don't even know it. It's happening right now. ChatGPT, which is different. They're vastly different, but yet I think we lump them into the same category of like tech and whatever. Who's used ChatGPT? Raise your hand. You ever written like the best snarky ass email at work and then took it and put it in ChatGPT and said, "Make this snarkier"? You ever done that? She's shaking her head. She does it all the time, I can tell. Or have you ever taken a proposal and put it into ChatGPT and said, "Hey, ChatGPT, how can I improve this?" Ever done that? Yeah, it's incredible. And if you're not embracing AI and ChatGPT, you will be left behind. You just will. It's coming whether you like it or you don't, and you've got to embrace it, okay? The second thing, and it's so funny because I'm going to go from one extreme to the other. And the other is I'm committed to making more actual phone calls this year. Hi, Angie. How's the food? Is it good?
Sorry.
It's good. Is literally picking up the phone and making more phone calls. I know we have a lot of, who here is in sales, owns a business in sales? Who here is a nonprofit? Raise your hand, right? I want to tell you a great story. This happened to me 4 or 5 weeks ago. I'm in the pizza world. I won't explain to you what we do because it would just like, you'd be like, "What the hell? That's a thing?" Yeah, it's a thing. And, but I called a lady. I found she actually had her phone number on LinkedIn. And I called, and she answered the phone, and I said, "Hey, I'm Eric with Perfect Crust." And she goes, "Oh, well," she said, "I'm shocked someone actually called." And I said, "I'm shocked you answered the phone." And we both laughed about it. And it was the most like freeing kind of fun thing. And from a sales standpoint, if you'd like to differentiate yourself from everybody else out there, pick up the phone. Call people. It's so old school that now it will set you apart from everybody else. And I see everybody shaking their head because we all get it, but yet we all live in this silly world of like, well, I texted him, I emailed her, she didn't respond. Pick up the phone. If it's somebody you know or a prospect or a customer, send them a text. What's your name? I'm sorry.
Craig.
Hey, Craig, I'm going to call you in like 10 minutes. What's up? Then call him. He'll answer the phone. Do it. It works. Okay? So that's 2 of 5. The next one that I have for me, for my group, is we're going to start really focusing more on productivity versus hours. Raise your hand if you know somebody at work that says, I worked 57 hours this week. Like, who cares? What did you get done? We need to focus on productivity. My son played college football, and he was a quarterback, and he was at the University of Albany. And he transferred there from NEO here in Oklahoma. And second day, he's in Albany, second day, calls me, he goes, Dad, Coach Davis just ripped my head off today. I said, what happened? He said, well, we go into our quarterback meeting, and Coach Davis says, you guys need to be the first ones here and the last ones to leave. And my son goes, well, that sounds really unproductive. And I'm like, you dummy. He's like, but it's true. He said, but what if I'm the first one in? I get all my stuff done and kill it, and I'm the first one out. I'm like, I don't think you get the concept there, kid, but I was proud of him for saying it because it's kind of true, right? Like, that's unproductive. The next thing for me that I'm focusing on this year, I think from a social media standpoint, I know you and I are connected. I think we're connected maybe on LinkedIn or whatever, but I'm going to put more social into my social media. And I'm just going to tell you, this isn't in the book, but I think that too many people use social media to bitch and complain. We just do. You can clap louder, right? So we complain about politics, and we complain about, you could say the sky was blue today and somebody's going to complain about it, right? So I changed what my thought process was on my social media a couple years back. I now look at my social media, it's my digital footprint, and it's what's there forever. I've been on Facebook for 16 years. Anybody else been on social media that long? On Facebook? Yeah. And I look at it as my digital footprint. And when people ask me, they say, hey, why'd you write this book? And I'll kind of lead into that a little bit, but I was telling Angie, I'll be 55 in February, and I'm so excited about it because for a year I'll get to say I'm double nickel, right? How old are you, double nickel? I just think it sounds freaking cool, right? So I have a 27-year-old son, started over, have a 12 and a 5-year-old. And I look at my 5-year-old Ruby Doo, right? She could get married 20 years from now. She'd be 25 years old. And the reality is I could be dead and gone. Thank you. I think I'm gonna live to like 102 with like modern medicine and stuff. But I could be dead and gone. And so I look at my social media as a digital footprint that's there forever. So when she gets married or she has grandkids, they can see me. They can see me and my dumbass friends doing stuff. They can see video. I'm more and more focused every day on leaving video. Every day. It's because that way it's not just like a photo. It's not just, well, here was Eric. It's me talking. It's my tone. It's my laughter. It's my joy. It's things I'm doing. It's where we're at. So I look at social media from this standpoint. I had a Nana growing up. I'm originally from Boston. I had a Nana for many years, probably grandma. When you went to grandma's house, you saw the coffee table, right? And it was full of photo albums, right? Everybody had that, right? And when you would flip through there, you didn't see, here's a picture of Uncle John when he lost his big toe to diabetes, right? So when people say, well, that's just your highlight reel, you're damn right it is, because that's what was at Nana's house. It was her highlights. It was their highlights. It's their happiness. I want to see your happiness. If you have friends that don't want to see you happy, get new friends. Get new friends. Life is short. Get new friends. So number 5 for me, and it's big for me. I do this every day, Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 9:30 in the morning, and I get on my phone, and whether it's text message, it's Facebook Messenger, it's Instagram DMs, it's LinkedIn DMs. I sent you one on LinkedIn when we first connected. You probably don't even know, I don't know if you saw it. But I love to send audio voice messages. I do it all the time. We have conversations like that. We've got to get away from going click, 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 and sending it. And then we get mad because he read it and he was like, what the hell does that mean? And you're like, well, that was in my sarcasm font. And we take it wrong, right? And so you have got the greatest. Oh, my phone's over there. Who's got a phone? Give me your phone. There's one. You have got the single greatest communication device in the history of the world in your hand, and you're sending a text, and they're reading it and go, what does that mean, Pastor? Pastor, right? Yeah. What the hell does that mean from the pastor? You see this? What the hell does that mean? By the way, one of my favorite things is after service on Sunday, be like, hell of a sermon today. Tell him that, see what he says, he'll be like, all right. So those are my 5 things that I'm really focused on this year. And I just felt like all week it was something that I probably wasn't going to talk about. But when she said to me, do you need AV? And I'm like, I don't. I'm going to talk about this instead. And that, and another thing that I felt just on my heart to talk about today, and I'll get into that in a second, but I have 20 copies of these here today, and they're $13 on Amazon. We're actually going to today, if you would like to pick one up for a donation, $20, $100, $500. We're actually going to take that money from today, and we're going to use that for, what was it for next month? It was the State of the School meeting for next month. So if you want one of these, they're up here. You can give her the money, Venmo her, Cash App, cash, whatever you want. But one of the things I talk about in that book that's important to me is I'm very goal driven, and I have a goal card. And I talk about it in there. And I'm just going to be very transparent today. Okay? So I've done this for 5 years. On one side, and it's laminated. I carry it around in my pocket every day. I know you're trying to look and see what it is. Calm down, I'll show you in a second. One side it's laminated, and one side is all the things that I want. Okay? The other side is if I do these things, I get these things. And I have so many friends, like I said, I'll be double nickel next year. I have so many friends that are in their 40s and 50s. And you know what they've done? They've checked out. They've stopped thinking about what do I want. They've stopped talking to their spouse about what do we want, right? We get home and we go through the motions and we put the kids to bed and we go to bed and we just forget about what's important and what the things that we want in our life. And I talked about this 2 months ago, Gambino's Pizza franchise convention in Wichita, and we talked about it. And they all got, which I have over there, a folder, and they all got this, it says goals and dreams. And so the challenge was tonight, on Sunday night, everyone write down 2 goals and 2 dreams, and 2 business goals and 2 personal goals and dreams. And we're going to talk about them tomorrow. And we did. And the best thing was, one couple came up to me, and you could tell that she was probably wore the pants in the family a little bit, but he was like, tell them what happened. So they get back to their hotel room that night, and it was the funniest thing. They wrote down on their goal, personal, they wanted a new house. And I said, okay. And she said, you know what? He built that house 4 years before we got together and got married, and I love it, but I don't really love it. And I've always wanted a new house, but I didn't want to tell him because he built the house, and I didn't want to hurt his feelings. And tell him. And then, so then he goes, well, guess what? I built that house 3 or 4 years before we got married, but I never really liked it. I built it, but I didn't want to tell her that I wanted us to get a new house because I thought she loved it. Well, she's loving it because she thought he loved it. They had a whole conversation about it in their hotel room in Wichita, Kansas. And by the time they came to see me at 10 o'clock the next morning, the house was going on the market and they already talked to their mortgage guy. And it's those things we've got to go home and we've got to talk to our spouses about what our dreams are and what our goals are and what do we want and what does it look like. So for me, what works for me, and maybe this is a little weird and old school, but I type it up and I laminate it and I put it in my pocket and I carry it around with my driver's license and a couple of credit cards and I look at it 400 or 500 times a day. So I'm literally going to read these to you. So the first one is $210,000 in income this year. There it is. Now you all know. Now you can. She was trying to squint and see it up there. The next one is 65,000 cases a month, which that means nothing to you, but that's a work thing for us. 65,000 cases. Third thing was 3 speaking events this year. That way exceeded that. I'm from Boston. 4 Boston games this year. I did 3. 219 pounds. By the way, I do not have love handles. I'm very high-hipped. So I'm getting close to that. I'm about 5 pounds away. You fellas can borrow that. You're high-hipped. Family vacation, which we did. A new car for my wife, which we did. And run a 5K, which my wife wanted me to do, and I ain't never going to do that shit. Pray for me, Pastor. So on the other side is the things I do. If I do these things every day, and it's very simple. Like we overcomplicate life, right? So the other side is the things I do. If I do these every day, I can get the things I want. The first one is pray every morning, Pastor. Pray every morning. And I do. Pray every morning. Pray for my friends. I pray for my wife. I pray for our kids. I pray for our customers. If I pray for him and he gets blessed because his business goes up, it helps me. And I'm not praying for him to help me, but it does in a way, right? I'm not going to read you number 2 until the end because I'm going to save it because it just drives me nuts. 10,000 steps a day. I do it every day. Done it, maybe missed 3 days in the last 90 days where I haven't hit 10,000 steps. 64 ounces of water. Write for 30 minutes every day, which I still do, which helped me write that book. 1 hour, this is a work thing, 1 hour sample calls. We get sample requests every day for our product. And so I spend an hour on the phone every day calling. People don't answer their phone much anymore, but I call. 1 video a day. So I post that video, whether I post it on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram, or it's a video that I send to a prospect or a customer. I do 1 video a day. And the last one is 20 DMs a day, which I talked about earlier, which is I'm going to double down on this year. Instead of doing 20 a day, I'm going to do 40. And I'll tell you why. The reaction to this from a business standpoint and from a friendship standpoint, it's just stupid great. The amount of people that go, man, I needed that today, And I'm going to come back to number 2 because it just drives me crazy. All of this is very specific. Pray in the morning, 10,000 steps, 64. All this is very specific. You want to know what number 2 is? Serve Megan. I have to think every day, did I serve my wife today? And what was it? What did it look like? And there are times we've gone to bed and I'm like, did I serve you today? And she's like, yeah, you did this and this and this. I'm like, oh, thank God. Like, it's so vague and I hate it. My wife loves it. You didn't serve me today. Can we go to the mall? Oh, okay. So I want to talk about this 20 DMs a day that I'm going to double down on because to put some value into it. It is life-changing for your friends to hear, hey man, I hope you have a good day. I'm thinking about you. Get up, kick some ass. Let's go, brother. Because here's the thing. Sometimes God lays something on your heart and your mind to reach out to a friend. And when you blow it off, right? And you blow off that thing that Chris needs to hear. Chris, what's up, man? You doing good? You look great, man. Your hair looks awesome, brother. What's up? And sometimes when we blow that off and we just let it go, we say, I ain't got time for that today. And God works through us to help other people. And that day that I could blow off that moment to take 2 seconds to send Chris a message, that could be all he needed to get out of bed today. And you know what I did? I just pissed off God. Right? I was looking at the pastor. He don't care. I think God works through us like that, where God works through us to bless someone else. And when we just push it aside, it's such a weird thing. Don't do that. I was at Glenpool McDonald's one day. This was 3 years ago. And I was sitting there, breakfast pulled up, and I was sitting there, they have like the 2 lanes, right? And I kind of glanced over and I see this guy, older guy in a white van. He's right there. And I ordered and I pulled up. I pulled up to the first window and I said, hey, I'd like to pay for that guy back there. And she said, okay. And have you guys ever done that? Yeah. You're like, you feel that, like, I'm going to buy their breakfast, I wouldn't buy it for him, but I'd definitely buy it for you though. But when I've done that, when I pull up, like, I want them to give me the food so fast that I can just drive away, because I don't want to see, like, thank you. You don't want to see all that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just feels kind of weird, right? This day, I pull up, say, hey, I'm going to get that guy's food back there. And she says, well, it's $1.42. I'm like, okay. So I pay for it. And I said, why was it $1.42? And she said, well, he got a coffee and a sausage biscuit, and he's a senior citizen, and so he got the coffee for free. He gets 10%. I said, oh, okay. So I pull up to the window, and I'm like, give me my food. I got to go, right? I want out of here. I don't want to have this weird, like, mirror thing. And she said, we're brewing fresh. We're brewing. It was weird. She said, we're making a fresh pot of coffee. It's going to be just a minute. And I see the guy behind me. I still get choked up thinking about it. This guy takes his van, puts it in park, and gets out and walks right up to me. And I'm like, yes, sir. He goes, you have no idea how much that meant to me today. He said, my wife's been in the hospital for 3 weeks. And he said, he said, I have $4. That's all I had. He said, it meant the world to him. And it's just one of those little things that's God talking to me, right? And do not pass up those moments in your life when you hear something and you feel something, and that intuition, it's here and it's here and it's here and it's all over you. You better act on that stuff. And the more you act on it is the more it's going to happen to you. And the more it happens to you, you better do it, because you know what? It's awesome. And it's cool. And it feels good, right? She knows. She probably does it all the time. It feels good. You guys have got to listen to your intuition. So I said there were 2 things and 2 reasons why I didn't talk about what I was going to talk about. I have a couple of friends. Who here is nonprofit people? And I'm going to finish with this because I think it's like crazy cool. I called one of my friends who's in Georgia, has a nonprofit, and I said, I'm speaking in front of this group, and there's several nonprofit people here, and I said, I'm curious. People that work for nonprofits tend to have just this giant heart to serve, right? They just want to give. And I said, am I crazy that, and she has my book, and I said, am I crazy that when you think about nonprofit people, it's talking about the vision and selling the vision and preaching the vision and the vision, and then asking for money, then talking about the vision, and then asking for donations, and then asking for volunteers, and then talking about the vision, and then asking for money and volunteers, and am I wrong? And then you know what you do? Then you talk about the vision, and then you ask for money. Then you talk about the vision more and more and more, and you sell it, and you talk about it, and you live it, and it's all in your heart, and you have this just massive heart to want to give. And then you know what you do? You ask for money, and you ask for donations, and you ask for volunteers, and then you know what you do? What do you do next? You talk about the vision, and then you ask for more and more, and you give, and you give, and you give, and it hurts. And then you know what happens? You get home. You know what you do when you get home? And I asked her all this, and she said, Yeah. You get home and you do this. Right? Nonprofit people, do you do that? You get home and you sit down and you go, oh my goodness. And you know what you do? You're so completely worn out and empty from all the asking because you believe so much in that vision, and so much effort and mind and heart and soul goes into asking for a donation or a volunteer, right? And you get home and you do this, and you get up just enough energy to feed the kids and give them a bath, and you go to bed, and you get up and you're fired up and you do it all again because that's your heart, right? You have a heart to serve. That's your heart. So my challenge to you nonprofit people, you guys have got to step back. One of the things I love about him, if you've ever seen him speak, and I told him I was going to talk about this today because it's part of what I talk about, is he talks a lot about don't half-ass, go full ass. Right? Full ass it. I'm all about it. Full ass. Go all in, and I love that. But don't go all in to the point that when you get home, you just do this. That you forget about your dreams and your spouse's dreams and your goals, and you've checked out and you invest so much into that nonprofit and what that goal is that you forget about taking care of you. Right? Some of you all don't even get home. Some of y'all probably just do this, like, right? How many of y'all get home, nonprofit people? How many of y'all get home and just do this? Seriously, how many of you do that? Because I see a lot of head shaking because you all get it, right? So I'm done with this. For you nonprofit people, and I know a lot of entrepreneurs, I know it's him. I know him very well. You give and you give and you give and you give and you ask and you ask and you ask and you ask. Start asking yourself. Ask your spouse, what's important to us? What do we want? What do we want for our lives? It could be something as silly as, I mentioned like a pergola. It could be a pergola on your house. Maybe hey, we really want that. It could be, hey, we want to work on our marriage. It could be, hey, I want to be a better dad. But you've got to take the time to sit back and don't go full ass. Go like 98% ass. Save 2% ass for you, right? That you take the time to talk about what you want and what's important to you, what you need for your life. Listen, today this isn't a simulation. This is your life. This is it. You're here by decisions and choices. And so you have a choice to change and to be better and to focus on the things you want. They're out there. Go get them. Thank you.